Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mia and Hazel podcast, or Hazel and Mia podcast, whichever way you want to see it.
There's two of us, so what do it matter?
There you go. And we want to continue our conversation on toxic relationships. And we recognize that a lot of people struggle in a when they're having a disagreement with their partner, because sometimes if one of the partner has tendencies to be a narcissist, they can use different ways to make you feel like your feelings don't matter or you're the one that's to blame. And so we thought we'd give you some ideas of how to actually have a discussion, not an argument,
And
and
that's,
your own techniques.
sorry for cutting in. That's the thing, it's about not allowing arguments to escalate.
There you go. So, some good tactics in de escalating a discussion.
Definitely.
Okay. We know that a lot of times arguments can explode because of deflection, blame shifting, gaslighting, minimizing one's feelings, um, projection of one's feelings. So, we want to give you just some roles that you can, or some tactics that you can use to try and bring it back down to a conversation and really get some results from the conversation, not just arguing back and forth because nothing gets solved, nobody gets heard.
It's about breaking the cycle.
There you go. I want to know how many of us have actually gone through the silent treatment. Okay, that is a very destructive tactic to use in a relationship,
Definitely. Definitely.
because if you are giving someone the silent treatment, acting like they're not there, you're making them feel invisible. And if the other person is invisible in the relationship, then it's no longer a relationship.
Also, the way to tackle that is if you were being ignored and given the silent treatment where it's as if you don't exist,
Mhm.
treat the person the other way back. So, no doing their washing, no doing their picking up after them, because you want to reverse that role. Because it's about you showing, okay, so you're treating me as invisible. So I'm going to treat you the same way back and see how you feel. That's where you will see that things will be like, whoa, why ain't my washing done? Why ain't my food cooked? Well, if you're invisible, there's no point in doing anything. It's about gaining back that respect.
And respect is a very important thing to remember in a relationship. When someone is giving you the silent treatment, they're disrespecting you. And I will tell you that it's a difference between someone saying, I need some space right now to focus on how I felt about the situation, and someone ignoring you completely.
Because when somebody asks for space, they're doing it for a specific reason. They're
Mhm.
telling you they need time out from the situation.
And it's great if they can express that, okay? Just remember that their silence is their choice,
Yes.
and you still have a right to express your truth. So don't let that, their silence, make you feel like you have to just drop your feelings altogether.
It would be like me saying to you, right, where's all the money gone this week? what have you done with all the money? Well, if you can't show me where you've spent the money, I'm not going to give you any more. And that's where people need to realize that is massive red flags. That is when you say, well, actually, I've done the shopping, I've done this, I've done that. And actually, if you were to pay somebody to come in and look after the house the way I do, you would be paying a lot more money.
And that's a really good way to express it, because I would say in the beginning, when somebody approaches you and says, "What have you done with all of the money?" you should immediately try to de-escalate that, because they're expressing anger. And in order for your situation to actually get better, you need to calm it down. And the best way to do that is what you said, is to say, okay, well, here's where the money went.
Yeah.
So
And
that they're like, they can now think, okay, wait a minute, I just jumped all over them.
yeah, because everybody is under so much stress financially now. So
Yes.
by saying, well, actually, this is what I've done, you're not backing down to them. What you're saying is, I have done this. I haven't wasted the money as you seem to think. I have done the food shopping. I have paid bills. The children might have needed some clothing, which we all know children go through clothing
Like
like
water.
water. And then by saying, well, actually, if you paid somebody to come in and do everything that I do,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a shock to them because they wouldn't know what to say.
Exactly. That I my father was the one who worked in the family. There were so many of us children that one parent had to stay home while the other one worked. And that was common in all families.
Yes.
Usually the mother stayed home and took care of the children, and the dad was the one who was out in the workforce bringing the money home. And not once did my father ever say, "Where did all of this money go to? I've been working hard and I come home and I don't have anything in my pocket to show for it." He expected that my mom would buy the groceries, buy the clothes, pay the bills. That was what the partnership was all about. Today, we have a different set of stresses that
Yes.
no matter how much money we make, especially if one of us is earning the money and the other one is taking care of the family, the cost of everything is going up.
Yeah.
And both people have to realize that and work together as a partner. We don't have that so often right now. But there is
And I
literally,
want to point,
yeah, go ahead.
when a parent stays at home, I've had this conversation many a times. That parent isn't a stay at home parent.
Okay.
That parent works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where the person going out to work only normally works 5 shifts a week.
And the one who's staying home is the doctor, the teacher, the cook, the house cleaner. So they have many roles that they have to take on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And um, all of those roles are just as important as the role of the one who's going out into the workforce. And I
If
want
you,
to stress that it's just as important. It's not more important or less important.
because if you thought about it, if you had to pay for somebody to pick your children up to take them to school, to
Mhm.
pick them up to bring them home, to then cook their food, you paid somebody to do all the laundry, there'd be no point in two people working anyway.
You're absolutely right, because all of that money would be going to all of those different people.
Definitely.
You'd have a small business to run your house,
Yeah. Yeah.
and uh, you wouldn't get a lot of the benefits that you get from having one person stay at home.
And that's the thing. Stay-at-home parents are far from lazy.
For sure.
They don't sit down till those kids have been in bed for 2 hours. By the time the kids have gone to bed, you've then got to clean up the tea dishes, or you've got to put a load of washing on. If they get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, which most little ones do, who's the
Yes,
one that gets up with them?
exactly.
So,
Okay.
and that's the other thing. Don't feel bad about not bringing an income into that household, because your life skills are worth a hell of a lot more than an income.
You are an active participant in the relationship.
Definitely.
So now let's talk about the narcissistic tactic of gaslighting. Okay. And is basically where one person is attempting to tell you that what you saw you didn't see, or what you felt you didn't feel. And that belittles someone and makes them feel like they're less than human because they have feelings.
Yes.
And the best way to turn that situation around is to make it clear that you don't want to argue. I just want you to understand how I feel. Once you start to elevate your voice and get irritated, start to cry, or any of those things, it will escalate the situation because you're not going to get a partner who is going to sympathize with
And
that.
just to point this out, most partners, especially the males, they weren't brought up with being shown emotions. So they struggle with emotions later on in life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why talking is a good thing. How many people say, I love you to their partners, and they get a, back?
Or ditto, ditto.
Yeah. Because they know how to express that emotion. But at the same time, that's still no reason for gaslighting you and showing you the red flags. You
There you
then,
have it. That's a
yeah,
definite red flag. Okay. And I know we all see red flags long before they really grow in a relationship. And that's okay, because that is an opportunity for you to focus on that and figure out how you're going to explain to to your partner that I was almost getting ready to say explain to your problem.
oh, it's Monday. And we've all got the Monday blues.
Yes, okay. But that's the problem, okay, is that we see red flags, but we don't address them until it's too late.
And are you afraid to address them because you're afraid of being on your own? Are you afraid of upsetting the other person? Well, listen, they upset you so many times. Don't be afraid of upsetting them, because
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
if they get angry, you just say, I'll come back and finish this conversation later. Or you, when you've calmed down, then you can approach me and we can continue this conversation. While you're treating me like a child, I will not communicate with you.
And literally, that is a good tactic, or I won't say it's a good tactic, but that's a tactic that um, narcissists tend to use. You know, you have the ability, as long as you stay in control of your feelings, okay? You have the upper hand here.
How many,
Once you lose control, you've given them the upper hand.
right, if you're arguing with your partner and you get so emotional, you start crying, that's their ideal opportunity to say, oh, here we go again. The
There you
water
go.
was soft. tiny tears is off. Don't give them that satisfaction. You need to take control of that conversation and of the situation.
Absolutely. Somebody was talking to me about a situation they had where they went in with their husband to buy a pizza. And the pizza man, or the pizza person behind the counter, handed the pizza to the wife instead of to the husband. And she took the pizza and she left. And this infuriated the husband because in his mind, he felt that the pizza guy was flirting with his wife by giving her more attention than what was given to him. Now, the problem there is that if this was true, then the husband should have addressed the pizza man.
Yes. Yeah.
But instead, he told the wife, I saw him flirting with you. And she was so happy to have her pizza. She said, what are you talking about? No, he wasn't. Yes, he was. He was flirting with you, and you didn't even acknowledge that I was standing there.
I would have answered that by he's in a job role where he needs to be people friendly. He was being polite by handing me the pizza because 9 times out of 10, it's the woman that dishes up the pizza.
And I laughed when she told me about this because I thought, well, is he feeling insecure about the relationship? And that would be the thing that I would think I would address. Are
Yes.
you feeling uncomfortable about something? What did he do to make you feel like he was flirting with me?
And I think as well, in different cultures,
Mm-hmm.
people being friendly can be seen as flirting, where to them, it's not flirting, they're just being natural. Okay, how can I put this? People from abroad, when I say abroad, I'm living in England, but people from Greece or France, or they are over friendly. So that
Mm-hmm.
comes through as flirtatious behavior.
I can
And
tell you that everywhere I go, I have a smile on my face.
yeah,
And you are absolutely correct that depending on the culture is how they receive the smile on my face. Now, I will say that usually I am smiling about something that I'm thinking about, and it's just an automatic response for me. Okay. There may be people all around, but what's going on in my head is reflecting on my face.
yeah,
And yeah, and I it has worked in my favor in many cases because someone will feel comfortable in approaching me and asking me for directions
yeah,
only
yeah.
because I'm smiling. I have a pleasant look on my face. But I was feeling bad for the person in this situation with the pizza guy because she didn't know how to de-escalate the
Yeah.
situation at the time that it happened.
What I would have said to him was, well, if he was flirting, it's been so long, I wouldn't have known how to react. So what is, you need to step in that role and show me.
Well, I would literally say, um, because that signals to me that he is feeling a little insecure about something, you might not immediately catch on to that. So the situation could escalate, but it's a good tactic to say, okay, hey, I'm listening to you.
Yeah,
And what I hear you're saying is that you felt uncomfortable because you thought he was flirting with me. I hear your feelings, and I could see I would probably feel the same way if we were in a restaurant and a female waitress was paying more attention to you than she was to me. So, okay, I understand how you feel,
But
but you have to recognize that I didn't even acknowledge him at all. So you were the one that was always on my mind, not him.
but being in a marriage and
Mhm.
he brings that up, because obviously they've been married a long while.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He brings that up straight away. That's red flags to say there's an issue within our marriage. Our marriage needs something more to change the dynamics.
And what more do you think that you could suggest to them?
Being spontaneous, doing things together, going for a pizza and becoming that agitated tells me there's something really drastically wrong within that relationship. Has
Or,
lost weight recently?
mhm.
Have she changed a look about herself? Is she dressing differently? Because there must have been something in his brain that triggered for him to see that situation like that.
Well, the way I read it is that there's a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of stresses that people are focusing on, and they're not talking about those things in the relationship. So while, like what I do when I'm just thinking about something and I'm smiling, a lot of people don't have that trigger mechanism.
Yeah.
They get stressed out and build things out of proportion.
And that
So
is,
something as small as that can
yeah.
trigger a whole bunch of different things,
And
and that's what you need to talk about.
and that's why it's important when you come for a reading, when we ask your name and date of births,
Mm-hmm.
we ask you to be really direct with the question. That's exactly why. If you've lost weight, if you're looking good, if you've had your hair done, that can trigger so many emotions in your partner. It would make them feel insecure. It would make them feel that you're trying to impress somebody else. If you, a prime example, somebody has weight loss surgery, they've been married for 30, 40 years. One
Mm-hmm.
of them goes for weight loss surgery, then that confidence soars. That marriage breaks down because the other partner don't know how to cope with it.
And I will say that also the partner who's losing the weight doesn't know how to cope with it either, especially if they've been overweight for a long period of time and they've just resigned themselves to being overweight, never thinking they could be anything less than what they are right then. And a whole new set of emotions are involved at that point when they're losing all of this weight and they really are feeling great about themselves. Other people are going to be attracted to that.
Yes. And in one respect, it's natural for the person to feel insecure that you've been with all that time.
Mm-hmm.
Just reassuring them, I'm not doing this for anybody else but myself. This is about me having a healthy lifestyle, about me changing the way I want to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because
And,
those two words of reassurance can make a massive difference.
well, I think that word reassurance is key in a relationship because no matter what you're going through, each partner needs reassurance that they're still important in the relationship.
Definitely.
Now, if that has changed for one partner or the other, then that needs to be addressed. And it doesn't have to be a negative,
No, no.
you know, uh, you can. sit them down and prepare them. Hey, my whole life is changing right now.
And make out that you're doing it as well so that you can enjoy things together. You can go on fun fair rides. You won't get out of breath just walking down the street. Simple things. And you could even go as far as to say, well, look, you've wanted to do something different. Let's get a dog. We can walk together. We can have time out of the house. That's bringing something new in for both parties.
Absolutely. And I am so excited that we are getting to expand on these things and trying to give some ideas of how to grow a relationship, even
Yes,
through difficult times, because I feel like we've got more difficult times coming ahead of us.
definitely.
And we're going to need your partner to get through these things.
And guys, if you've got any scenarios that you want us to work through, put it in the comments.
Absolutely.
We
I felt like um, things that I've been seeing going on around me have been exacerbated. They've
yeah,
just been growing. And I want to get the word out that we first need to protect ourselves, and then we can grow in a relationship. Each person has to have their own space. And if there is a time where you are feeling really unsure, insecure, frightened, before you decide to communicate that, take a moment to figure out exactly what is it that's causing those feelings.
yes. And can I just put it out there for our viewers to know? We've had crap go on in our own lives. Our lives are not 5 stars, shall we say?
No, we're humans.
And that's what I want you guys to know. We've been through it ourselves. And that's important for you guys to know that we are normal.
Mm-hmm.
We've had kids that play us up. We've screamed and shouted at our other halves because we forget on times what needs to happen.
And
So,
literally, when we are really thinking that screaming and getting that anger out is good for us, and it's not.
and guys, believe you me and have had me screaming and shouting before now. And you know what she says to me? Go and make a coffee and come back when you're calm.
Okay.
And I just say, oh, and off I trot.
And she calls me back after the coffee, and it's a whole new, different Hazel.
So that's what I mean. We have ups and downs as well. You know, our life
Absolutely.
is not hunky dory. So please don't think you're on your own because you.
Well, that's the thing is that we all are going through these situations together.
Yeah.
And we're only trying to give you some tips to help make it easier. You know, I guarantee you that our parents went through this, our grandparents went through this, and it was uh, them sticking together in most cases that got the family growing.
Look, guys, I'll lay you into a secret. I had the baby sleep last night. Now he's 15 months. I goes out the kitchen. I comes back into the living room. He've taken his PJ bottoms off, taken his nappy off, put the nappy on the dog's head, and was stood there peeing. And look, that's just typical kids. But at the time, I was like, oh my God. So we got through crap ourselves.
This is life. And if you sat down and cried every time a situation like this occurred, you spend most of the time sitting on the floor and crying.
And then I picked him up and he peed all over me. So there we go.
All right. I can't tell you how many new outfits a guy that got ruined because of my baby boys, but I wouldn't have had it any other way.
When you're having a rubbish day, just think about me having to explain to the baby, now that he understands, that you can't put a soaking wet pea nappy on top of the dog's head.
It sounds to me if he's ready to be potty trained.
We're thinking the same. But, so we all have rubbish days.
Yes, we do. And that's why we're here to help you through those things. You might think this is a small little thing and that you can handle it, but it can grow quickly. So, any tips that we can offer you, any advice that we can give you that helps you get through this quickly, we're here for you.
And that's what you need to remember. We are here for you. You are not here for us. We are here for you. And that's the important thing.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much for enjoying coming to our show. And please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. We really want to hear from you. And if it just means that you want to yell and scream to get it off your chest, do that too. Okay?
If you want to put some smiley emojis because of what I had to deal with this morning, you can.
If you want to buy Hazel a cup of coffee, that I would appreciate. Thank you all so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.